Start recording, everyone. I'm going to start recording. Start recording.
Get started in about 10 minutes. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. Glenn, can you hear me okay? I heard. We're good. Okay, we'll get started in about a minute. There. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, June 21st, 2021 meeting of the East St. Peter Township Board of Supervisors. My name is Corey Meyer and I'm the chair, and I'll have Tara play a quick message.
In concert with current COVID-19 requirements, face coverings are required for all non-vaccinated participants in the public meeting room unless they fit into one of the allowable exceptions. When speaking, while maintaining social distance, participants may remove their face covering. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. The Township is expecting to utilize this vehicle for all future public meetings during and after the COVID-19 crisis. Please continue to check the township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the township's website and will be posted on the front of the township building. The township will also be recording the meeting and making it available for viewing via the township website and YouTube channel. While every effort will be made to ensure the live streaming and website are working, East Lampeder Township takes no responsibility for and cannot be held liable for the unavailability of live streaming in part or in full due to technical issues beyond its control. Live streams and recordings of all meetings remain the property of East Lampeder Township and are protected by copyright. Access to live streams and recordings of meetings is provided for personal and non-commercial use. Video, images, and audio must not be altered, reproduced, or republished without permission of East Lampeder Township. It is suggested that all participants on Zoom mute their microphone during the meeting until they wish to speak, make a motion, or vote. All votes will be taken by roll call so that they can be properly recorded. In order to accommodate public comments at this meeting, the township will be accepting public comments in writing or via email. Instructions for the submission of public comments are available on the township website. All those providing public comments will be required to provide their name and address in order for their comments to be read into the record. Inappropriate comments will not be read into the record. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
That better?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, good. You can hear us as well.
It's going in and out, so I'm not sure how long I'll be here.
Okay, meeting is called to order. Next on the agenda, we have the pledge to the flag. Please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just checking everyone in the room can hear me as well. Well enough. Good. Okay, next on the agenda, we have public comment for non-agenda items only. Tara, is there anything from email or Zoom for public comment?
Nothing.
Okay. Any public comment in the room for non-agenda items? Okay. Move on to 4. We have just 2 items for the consent agenda. We have 4A, approval of the minutes of the Monday, June 7th, 2021 regular meeting. And then B, approval to pay invoices from all funds for a total of $1,653,355.88. Only one item of note, $1,422,960.42 for various property owners for release of development financial security amounts. And that is our consent agenda. We have a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, motion made by John,
Second.
second by Ethan. Any other comment from the board? Any comment from the public?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Ethan, aye. Aye. 5-0, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, 5, we have Miller Landis Route Land Development Plan, 2106, 679 Martin Station Road. Come on up, state your name, and I think we have a few documents in hand.
Good evening. I'm Dave Keener, the project engineer, and the project is for Landis Food, and I also have the applicant here this evening, Lloyd Miller, if there's any questions. So this plan, this site was redeveloped back in 2010. And at that time, there were two buildings proposed. And the one building was constructed and now they're just now building the second building. So since time has passed, we're coming back to the few grading changes with the new building, and also slightly larger, so there's more stormwater. We're utilizing existing stormwater, but there's also some additional stormwater required to compensate for the additional impervious coverage. There's a small rain garden between the building and Hartman Station Road, so it's out in the front. We had introduced this plan a while ago. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into. We did receive the letter from May 26th, and we were also at the Planning Commission, and they recommended the plan, recommended conditional approval, and also then for the waivers and the deferments.
Like we have a few grants for minor things, preliminary plan, scale. Widening. Curve. Sidewalk. That's correct, yeah. I can understand the deferral.
The deferrals were granted with the previous plan, so we just kind of re-up that with this plan.
Yeah. Questions for the board?
That certainly would have been my initial concern. Pretty good with all the previous plans. So I have to understand. We have done those many times. Last deferral, last 5 to 6 years or so, we have been as a board been really concerned that applicants understand that there is a potential future investment that comes with it. I'll make a motion. We conditionally approve the preliminary final plan for 679 Hartman Station Road. Township project number is 2021-6. And it would be conditioned on the letter dated May 26, 2021 from DMA, and the county letter as well that was dated, I believe, March 10th. Goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Granting the modification request, I think the curbs and the sidewalks have been deferred as opposed to waived, but otherwise, condition on those two letters. Second.
Made by Dave, second by John. Okay, any other comments from the board?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yep.
I can't hear you guys. Your mics are really going in and out.
Try to speak.
That help, Glenn? Can you
That's
hear me?
perfect. That's much better.
Could you hear my motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay, Glenn, up to you for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Dave.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Ethan.
Aye.
And chair is aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Appreciate your time this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll try to speak up. Okay, next on the agenda, we have 6A, request for removal of property covenants for 155 Bowman Road.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Guard. I'm here representing.
Speak into the mic, sir.
Yeah, you're just speaking to the microphone.
Sorry, that
Yeah,
microphone.
sorry about
Yeah,
that.
There you go. Thank
You
you.
can move it, do whatever you want.
Sure, a little
Take it.
discrimination here on a short guy. So, but by the way, yeah, Nick Guard, I'm the attorney here representing Daniel and the King. They are the owners of 155 Bowman Road, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. A little bit of background, sometime before 1995, landowners back then put some covenants in place whereby there's two pieces of property. If you, I brought some photos here, but these are better. That's a 3.1 acre property in the red. And the bigger property that surrounds that red is a 37.5 acre piece of property. And back then, the landowners, one that were required to sort of always have common ownership of those two pieces of property, probably for some zoning relief back in those days. Then in 1995, the Board of Supervisors had agreed to sort of waive those covenants, but the landowners never really complied and never really finished the job. The current owners took ownership, Daniel and Edna King, December 20 of 2020. And they are now the current landowners, and their desire would be to sort of merge those two properties together. And in that regard, have the Board of Supervisors to hopefully declare those covenants to be null and void, which would allow that, in essence, to create one larger tract of land so that they can eventually put maybe an agricultural building or something on there and not have to worry about all the setback requirements. So that's our request for this evening.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
So the two covenants were, the first were that these act as one parcel, and the second was that around that somewhat L-shaped parcel, 300-foot buffer, that no other building could be put around that. Right in this general treed area was an extensive chicken house. They didn't have the distance that was required of the zoning ordinance, and so they put the declarations in place.
So other than us, say we vote on this, there's something legally, like you have to go down to courthouses or.
The intent would be, currently, those two tracts of land are listed on one deed. The intent would be to re-record another deed with those legal descriptions indicating in there that we're going to merge these two pieces together, never to be kind of taken apart again. You know, I did contact Lancaster GIS department, and they, you know, given the way it looks, it says that it makes lots of sense to put them together. So they had no reservations on that whatsoever. It's just a matter of, you know, what's the easiest way to accomplish that goal, and that merger type deed, which is done pretty regularly. That's our plan. If we're granted.
Yep.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, any questions from Mr. Guard or the applicant? Okay, accept the motion for this one.
Make a motion that we remove at 155 Bowman Road, the removal of all property covenants that were established prior under prior boards to allow for the property owner to now join those two properties as one.
Motion's been made by John,
Second.
second by Dave. Okay, any other comments from the board?
I guess, John, your motion was for all covenants. Are there more than two?
Not within this particular covenant agreement that was recorded.
Just the two.
That's correct.
So the understanding from the motion is to remove these two covenants.
Subject to the applicant recording a new deed.
Right. Following through. Yep. Okay, motion's been made, motion's been second. I think we understand. Any other comments from the board? Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ethan? Aye. Aye. Okay, 5-0, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have review of Upper Lake Hawk Township zoning amendment comment. Tara, do you want to?
I will, yes.
Okay.
So Upper Lake Hawk Township forwarded us a text amendment for their zoning ordinance, which in their opinion, reduced the amount of parking that was required for multifamily. It's nowhere near consistent with what we require. Ours requires 1.5 parking spaces up to 40 residential units, and then you need to have 1 parking space for guests for each 40, and then any employees. This also requires that there be a distance requirement, which is not really feasible in measuring. So if you go up in height, there's no way you can meet the 200-foot requirement within to the distance of the parking spaces. It also puts a sea of parking spaces around your building, which we're all trying to avoid as much impervious as possible here. So I did not look very favorably upon this text amendment and shared those thoughts with the township's zoning officer.
Thank you. I agree with everything you wrote in your letter. I guess the question is, does the county planning commission, places 2040, like, do they take a look at these zoning amendments also?
They will, yes.
Okay, after the other municipalities.
It's during the same process.
Same time. Okay. Okay. I'm assuming their comments are going to be, should be similar.
I would hope so.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Any questions to Tara on this item?
Yeah, what's the motivation, Tara?
There is a developer
The applicant.
that is looking to put in a project with multifamily that did not necessarily fit within the zoning district.
So the developer was essentially trying to reduce, but when they were trying to reduce, they still didn't come anywhere close
That's
to
correct.
the reduction that.
I mean, if you look at what they require 3 parking spaces for a multifamily unit. That's excessive.
Yeah, it sounds like this amendment would fit this particular developer's property situation, but
Not the
on
great
a
vision.
larger perspective, it's
Correct. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, we can take a motion, then we can ask for any other comment.
I make a motion to authorize the township to send a letter.
A second.
Motion was made by Ethan, second by John. Any other comments from the board on the letter? Comments from the public on the proposed letter? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Aye. John?
Aye.
Ethan? Aye. Chair, aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Chair, for that. 6C, discussion regarding possible text amendment to Village Commercial Zoning District. Mr. Stanley.
I did.
You did. I wasn't looking. You can raise it more.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Mark Stanley. I'm a partner with McNeese, Wallace, and Nurick and represent Gap Brothers Holdings LLC. Gap Brothers is the equitable owner of the property at 2985 Lincoln Highway East. Tara, I believe that we gave you just a possible site plan.
Do you want me to bring that up?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's fine. Keep going.
Used to be able to look at 11 by 17, but those days are behind me. The property that we're looking at to potentially develop is 2985 Lincoln Highway East. Gap Brothers is affiliated with Paradise Energy Solutions and Upward Broadband. They currently have an existing facility in Paradise Township, and they're looking to relocate that operation and their employees to East Lampeter. With me tonight is Tim Byler. Tim's in the back row, and Tim is affiliated both with Gap Brothers as the real estate holding company and Paradise Energy Solutions. The zoning of this tract is village commercial. Village commercial permit by right offices and among other things, manufacturing not exceeding 30,000 square feet. And Tim and the engineer, Steve Gurley from Harbor Engineering met with Tara and Scott Hain on site. They looked at the proposed use, which is a combination between an office use and although we've it's labeled as warehousing, we talked about installation, we talked about assembly, we talked about manufacturing, but there really was a question as to what that warehousing component was. So there was an issue that was raised that the zoning officer could not say that is manufacturing, and looking at it, looking at possible options, going to the zoning hearing board isn't an option because the zoning hearing board would say, we're not here to interpret the ordinance, and you could do a number of other uses on site. So we'd be spinning our wheels, incurring costs. So in the discussions with staff, we talked about coming to the board to amend the village commercial to provide for a combination, not warehousing as a freestanding use, which sometimes has that unanticipated consequence of traffic and truck traffic and more of an intense use. What we suggested was amending the ordinance to permit warehousing when coupled with an office use, and also to limit the size of the warehousing to no more than 20,000 square feet. We looked at it as appropriate for this site and the other potential sites in the village commercial, because I always try to put myself in staff shoes and the board shoes. Are there any unanticipated consequences that could come up similar to the parking that we're talking about right before this, that could impact other sites? And right now, this would only impact Levin Road and potentially this site, and along Soudersburg Road, where you really wouldn't have an opportunity to put this use without combining multiple lots and uses into one. We believe it's appropriate. It has direct access to Route 30. It has access to the Route 30 truck routes. And we see this more as a clarification, consistent with other uses and potentially the impacts that those other uses might have. And it would facilitate the business development within the village commercial site. We met with the Planning Commission on June 8th. We made a presentation similar to what we were talking about in the presentation we're making tonight. And the Planning Commission recommended that we proceed as discussed. I never want to surprise people, so we're here informally to talk to supervisors. And if the board is comfortable with this approach, what we would do is then formally submit a petition to amend village commercial to permit the warehousing component not to exceed 20 when coupled with the office use. And, you know, it really doesn't come into play with a text amendment, but we wanted to show you what potentially we were looking at with this site. And it's a 30,000 square foot office, 3 stories. The site drops off, so you really be only seeing approximately 2 stories of the office. And then the warehouse with the parking behind. There was a prior sketch that the project team shared with staff. They made several recommendations which have been incorporated into this, reducing the parking, redirecting the traffic through the site as opposed to taking it along the entire length of Levin Road. What this does is it aligns this driveway with the driveway for the campground that's on the other side of the houses. So you would have anybody accessing this site making that right turn into the site. The truck traffic would be behind and it wouldn't be in front of the houses that front on the other side of Levin. We would propose a potential emergency access with the emergency service providers at the end in the event we needed to use that, but it would be whether it's chained, whether it's blocked, so it's not a daily use for either the employees or any truck deliveries.
Those homes face Levin Road?
They're all
They're
fronted.
all
all
fronted on Levin
fronted
Road.
on Levin
So how do you get to the campground?
Right here.
Turn left, right there.
Turn left
Okay,
at
that's
that
what you're talking
corner.
about. So the sort of the trucks would go to the right and
Yeah.
campgrounds, you'd go to the left. I got it. Now I'm following. Okay. And the township line is somewhere on the north, right there. Yeah. I could
Just on
hardly
that
see it.
very edge of the
Gosh,
cul-de-sac.
I am blind. Yeah.
That's
see
just
it.
the cul-de-sac.
The current village commercial zoning, what does it say about warehouses?
Warehousing is not permitted. Manufacturing is permitted
Okay,
on a township roadway,
okay,
not on a state highway,
okay.
and at a maximum of 30,000 square feet. What's important is what the company does here. So if you want to go into that a little bit.
Tim, do you want to just talk briefly before Paradise Energy does, and broadband?
Yeah, sure thing. My name's Tim Byler, and good to see you all this evening. One of the things Mark had asked me to do earlier on when we were just corresponding and saying, where might we fit here, is explain how you're going to use this. So we really saw 3 pieces. One is the warehouse. It's a storage. It's not how I see warehouse defined in your ordinance, as more of a fulfillment facility. So there's, we're bringing products in, it's on pallets, it gets staged there temporarily. For a lot of our large projects, it actually goes direct to the job site. So more of our smaller residential projects, we're bringing these products in. And sometimes there's a bit of assembly in the warehouse. We're, getting enclosures, we're putting electronics inside, and some of it, gets loaded on the truck or the trailer and goes out to the job site where it's installed. So even the term construction contractor is a little bit of a stretch, because we're buying manufactured components and we're installing them, we're integrating them on a job site. We're not bringing in 2x4s and framing up a house, so to speak.
Solar panels, is that?
I am speaking of the solar panels,
Got it.
yes,
Okay.
what I've described so
Yep.
far.
Okay.
So it's the solar panels, the racking, the inverters,
Yeah.
and then the electrical components like conduit and cabling. With our broadband company, we're doing what's known as fixed wireless internet. So we have, maybe tower components, small shelters. We've done some of that where it's like a 80-inch by 80-inch shelter where we're outfitting it on site, putting in electrical, kind of prefabbing it, so to speak, so it can be set on a job site. So we do some assembly. It's kind of a contractor storage yard, but again, not like I see defined in your ordinance where there's a pile of gravel and there's lumber. You know, the outside storage is pretty limited. It's usually limited to some steel racking, maybe some longer length stuff that doesn't fit so well in the building. But outdoors, it's mostly pickups and you know, tow behind trailers.
Karen, you're looking at something.
No, just so you all are aware, the manufacturing definition is the production of goods from raw materials by the assembly of constituent parts produced elsewhere or by combination of these means. And then warehousing is the storage of goods. So that's where it became very much a mix of the uses within our definitions. Manufacturing is specifically called out in the village commercial, as we did for bird in hand and the village general.
Can I ask a
Please,
question,
please. Yeah,
Chairman?
please, absolutely.
So, Mr. Butler, would the intention be to relocate your entire operation here and not continue at your existing location?
That is correct. That's our intent, that we would relocate. The challenge we run into at our current location is space. The most acute has been parking. But we're also really kind of crammed in our warehouse space, and our office is filling up too.
Comments? Yeah, Hutch. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask about truck movements. I mean, volume of truck movements in and out, size of the equipment.
I might.
Thinking about on a daily basis, I mean, how the traffic would be impacting the residents and the campers.
Yeah, if you just give me a minute here, I'll look it up. It was actually less than what I anticipated when I asked our team. Let me see if I can find that.
Mark, while he's looking up that, is there any reason why you couldn't just come right on Lincoln Highway, do a curb cut and come right there? Any reason why you're going with Levin Road versus coming on Lincoln Highway?
Your zoning ordinance doesn't allow it.
The zoning ordinance does not allow the manufacturing to come out onto the state highway. You know, this was originally intended for those uses off of 340 in bird in hand, the small manufacturing uses, so that they were off of the main route. We extended that through Smoketown in the village general and then down in the village commercial, keeping it off 30. This site could have access to both if the board were willing to consider that.
Two roads right next, so close to each other. I mean,
Two entrances?
yeah, two entrances. I'm sorry. Yeah, two entrances. Like if it was east of Levin Road, I can't. I think that would cause more issue. I mean, honestly, I think it looks like it would work. I don't understand what staff.
Well, the scale might be a little deceptive as to how much distance there really is there, but you know, that'd be I think as Tara's saying, it'd be sort of an alternative amendment. You know, maybe it could be just a right in, right out to take some of the traffic off and leave some of it on Levin.
I mean, is there, I don't know, my gut tells me
for the community, it looks better not having multiple curb cuts coming out of the Lincoln Highway. It's better managing the traffic as it comes through the one location.
Right.
Yes, it can stack in front of those homes, but my guess is that you've got a 7 a.m. starting time and a 5 p.m. quitting time, Mr. Byler, for most people coming there. I mean, the trucks, I understand, throughout the day, but so it's not as if we're going to stack all day long there. It's not Costco or something.
Well, I think conceptually, they're suggesting that all the traffic would turn into the site across from the campground. So there wouldn't be any going up Levin Road in front of the
It's all going
homes.
to turn in right there.
That's conceptually what they're suggesting. Yeah.
That's our thought.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's less impactful.
Right.
Speak in the mic, please.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Glenn.
Glenn.
And then the HOP, I'll use that as my unanticipated consequence, because once PennDOT gets a hold of it, once you start to look at first a scope, I don't know where that scope would be. And PennDOT might say, out of their access management manual, if you can access off of the township road and not add an additional curb cut on the state highway, that might be their preference. So we looked at aligning, we looked at making sure that the traffic turns in as soon as they can, and to get them off of Levin Road so they're not driving in front of the residences who might then be impacted or say, you know, you're affecting my right and timing to get out of my driveway.
No, I would think that PennDOT may come back to you with that same response as well, Mark. I wouldn't want to see a curb cut there. I'd rather use Levin Road as the curb cut.
A question about Levin Road onto 30. Have you considered bringing semis out of Levin Road onto 30? Is there adequate radii there to go either way onto 30? It looks to me, if you're coming out and you're going to do a right-hand turn, go west, might be a little tight. You at least have to get into the center lane, I'm guessing. Would that be, just looking at some of the other intersections or where the driveways come out, they have, but the question is whether or not that's been considered.
I don't think the engineering is advanced to that stage. I know that they take a lot of larger campers back that road for purposes of the campground. But that'd be something that if we proceed past the zoning, your staff and your township engineer is going to say, okay, how do you get it to the site? Let's run the turning templates. Show that you're not doing this in a way that's going to impact the traffic on Route 30 as it's currently consists of.
Rather your operation 24/7, 12 hours, what's the typical?
Yeah, great question. So our operation is generally our first, I mean, I wouldn't call it a shift, but earliest workers, the main group's coming in around 6:30 in the morning. And I would say the majority of the people have left the facility by 5 p.m. Saturdays, there's very little activity, if any. I did find the notes on the truck traffic, and we kind of split into three groups. One is kind of your UPS FedEx truck. Another is supplier box truck. So think your, for us, it's kind of your local electrical supplier type truck. And then the semi. So these are all per week. So the UPS, FedEx, Amazon Prime van, you know, those kind of vehicles, about 10 per week. So 2 a day. It's pretty typical. Supplier box truck, like an electrical store, 5 per week. So maybe averaging 1 per day. And then semi truck, we estimate at 3 per week currently.
As a concept plan goes, Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing maybe some sidewalks there along the building or something. Once again, Mark, I know it's a concept, just trying to see what it is. You know, just recognizing as well too, coming into a village commercial, there's an existing neighborhood there. I'm envisioning, a need to work with the neighborhood there. I remember the conversation about the entrance to the campground, and now, and I understand, I've never reason to doubt your truck estimates. I would imagine it's probably something like that. But just recognizing that, now we've got residents who are now getting additional traffic and, folks coming there. People go out at lunchtime from your facility may want to, go out and walk along the sidewalk or something, or just recognizing that in this whole idea of village commercial, village business, trying to mesh businesses like yours, growing, thriving businesses that we want to encourage with those historic uses that are there, residents and things like that. So once again, this is just a concept.
Appreciate the comment.
Yeah.
From the truck perspective, we looked at it as either same as or less than potentially a 30,000 square foot manufacturing facility, which is permitted by right. And, going back to what Tara said, it was sort of, are we, aren't we, and how do we define this, utilizing the current definitions in the ordinance. And it just became a little complex. From the sidewalk perspective, we'll look at that. We were looking at it also as putting the landscaping that potentially creates that visual screen. I know from discussions that I've had with Tara that they talked about landscaping on the other side of the residences. So there was a screen to the campground. So we were looking to incorporate the landscaping along Levin Road. So they also had that visual screen.
I'm okay for all the concepts, great. I would hate to see though, the front of your building is covered in pine trees. 10 years from now, you can't see it. I think you have the potential after residents see this and they are acquainted with it. I think you can actually contribute an aesthetic to that little neighborhood, to that little road. I think it could contribute some value to there. So I'd hate to see it look like the back of, some of our business park, warehouses where, it's all trees that are 20 to 30 feet high in 10 years. And it just looks like the back of Costco. I don't see this looking like the back of Costco. Is the way that this building is shaped, is the front of the building actually facing the parking lot?
Yeah, the way the building's shown there is the larger block kind of on the southwest would be the office. And the main entrance would be somewhere at that end.
Facing Lincoln Highway.
I guess we hadn't determined whether it's facing Lincoln Highway or if it's facing that southwest out towards the Levin Road, the entrance from Levin Road, but it would be at that end of the building, is our anticipation.
Just one question. There's a leasehold, at least my understanding is that there's a leasehold on the property that could impact the timing of your project. Can you share anything with the board about that?
If I recall, Tim, the leasehold runs through 2022.
April 1st, 2023. The lease runs through April 1st, 2023, based upon our review. And our thought is to work through the development process on this site and hopefully be ready to, get the shovels in the ground, get the site developed when that ends.
Thank you.
Doesn't it go to arise there, Mark, at the adjoining Lutheran church property?
Yeah, because you said you can only see the top third floor, right?
Actually, the
Second, third floor.
office building.
The contours are on here if you can see the dashed lines.
I could hardly see the township line, let alone the
I
contours.
just typed
Oh,
this
yeah,
week,
right.
a lot of contours. Wow,
Yeah.
so okay, so that sidewalk, proposed sidewalk, as I was saying, would actually be up elevation wise from the back of the parking lot, it would be up higher, Mark. Okay.
When I'm looking at it, we're actually showing the proposed sidewalk all around,
Yeah.
cul-de-sac wall, and landscaping behind it.
Oh, Glenn can't hear you. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Glenn.
See, Mark, you're usually on the Zoom. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
You're not
You're
used to
usually
it.
sitting in your house.
Exactly, sort of looking at, what technology are we using now?
Yeah.
And Glenn, what I was mentioning is that the conceptual site plan shows a sidewalk with some deciduous trees and some shrubs and smaller bushes behind it. So you have a combination of the sidewalk continuing around the cul-de-sac bowl and then some landscaping out front.
Any other
Thanks.
questions to the applicant?
No questions. I have a comment.
Yeah, please.
I would, sort of the bigger trend I see in the way business operates, especially smaller, mid-sized businesses, is in 20, 30 years ago, you had more single stream. So you had your warehouse center, your distribution center, your manufacturing center, are all separated and segregated. The trend now is much more vertical integration. So updating the definitions of our zoning ordinance to allow that in warehousing and manufacturing, to allow for this, which is much more of your small, as businesses grow and develop, they go through this process, and most are actually still staying right here where you're getting product, you're modifying product, maybe doing some light manufacturing, warehousing, and it's everything under the roof, and it changes.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
2 years from now, the process for how you're doing this could change. So
Right.
I'm very supportive of updating, especially our warehousing definitions and the manufacturing definitions as well, to allow for more of that flexibility. And when I look at the rest of the village commercial district going up Route 30 and then north up towards 340, and you look at the other mix of businesses
Mhm.
along there, this would fit right in with the rest of the folks on those roads going up. So I think it definitely fits with the rest of the zone. If you walked into any other warehouse in the village commercial, you're going to see this activity going on. That's just what happens inside of it. It changes every couple of years what you're
Sure.
doing in there, even
Right.
if it's
Product
the same
lines.
business. So I think modifying would have a benefit to everybody, as well as to the applicant.
Nope, all right, fine. Yeah, thanks. I always enjoy informal discussion. Hope you continue with the plan, and it's great to see both businesses, Lloyd's business, Tim, your business, growing in East Lampeter Township. I don't know what else we could ask for as a board. I think we all ran on, when we ran last time, saying that we want businesses to grow in the county. This is what it looks like. So, any other questions for us?
We just wanted to get your feedback. Like I said, it makes sense to come in, have an informal discussion. I've convinced myself over the years that what I'm thinking makes sense sometimes. I want to hear, yes, it does, as opposed to, what are you talking about? So Planning Commission told us to proceed. And what I'm hearing is the supervisors are saying, yeah, take the next step, work with staff, work through this. And as Hutch mentioned from the lease, we may have a little bit of a gap at the end, but we have some time to work through the zoning, work through the land development, and then be ready to go once that lease for the existing ground expires.
Right. The only, if I may, the only other comment I would suggest, and you probably thought of this as well, would be to consider some outreach to the residents
Oh,
along
yeah,
Levin Road,
absolutely.
as well as the campground.
Yes, great point.
Yeah, without even saying, I mean, that's a significant change to the site view that those individuals have. Now, there's 3 sheds there for sale with a field. I get it,
Right.
But it certainly is, the view shed for that little street of neighbors definitely is going to be impacted. I like what I'm seeing and the way that you're envisioning it, Tim. I think it's a great idea. But I do think the neighbors need to be aware that this may be, coming.
But, it makes sense at the appropriate time. Make sure, they could have a large office, they could have.
Right, there could be a lot of
manufacturing,
other things on that property.
And, this is, again, more of a clarification. But in this day and age, life will change as they see it. So have that discussion before you start breaking ground and have people running across the street.
Some of what this board has to do is change management.
Yeah.
We're in a community that's changing, so thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
good
luck.
to see
Okay.
you.
Good luck. I see your signs around, so you're doing something right. Urban, I've been seeing all the alternative internet, so nice job.
I can't get it at my house, but I went on the map. I'm right in the hollow.
You got two of my employees who left me and went to you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have 7A, resolution regarding Casey Kaufhold competing in the Tokyo Olympics. I have a resolution to read. Recognizing and congratulating East Lampeter Township resident, Miss Casey Kaufhold, on becoming an Olympian who will represent the United States of America in the Summer Olympics to be held in Tokyo, Japan in July and August of 2021. Whereas Miss Casey Kaufhold is an East Lampeter Township resident, and whereas Miss Kaufhold is an accomplished archer, having recently established a new world record for the 72 arrow, 70-meter distance by scoring 682 out of 720. Whereas Ms. Kaufhold has, through her accomplishments, earned the right to be an Olympian representing the United States of America in the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. And now, therefore, the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors recognizes and congratulates Ms. Casey Kaufhold for her outstanding accomplishments and joins the entire community in wishing Casey good luck as she competes in the Tokyo Olympic Games. Resolved this 21st day of June 2021 by the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. Awesome. Awesome.
That's great.
Congratulations to Casey. Thank you, gentlemen.
Bye, guys. See you. Nice.
Okay. I don't need approval for that resolution, or I should. Yeah.
Should be a motion.
A motion for that resolution. So moved. So moved by Ethan. Second. Second by John. Any other comments from the board? Any other comments from the public? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ethan? Aye. And chair is aye. Congrats, Casey. Okay, 7B, lien collection execution for 327 Greenland Drive and 2047 Old Philadelphia Pike. Touch.
Yeah, these unfortunately are two locations where we've had significant delinquencies on bill payment. Both of them haven't made payment on their account since 2007. So they're just single family dwellings that have accumulated over $8,000, close to $9,000 in charges over that period of time. And staff would like to try to motivate them to make some arrangements to pay those amounts. So similar to what you did a couple of meetings ago for a different property out on Lincoln Highway.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions regarding these two lien collection executions?
Are there other liens that you can see, Ralph, that are on these properties?
Where
are we in line?
Well, municipal claims go right up to the top. So, that's always been the case. There could be, we haven't looked to see whether there are other liens, but ours go first in the order. Correct. Of course, we send a bill quarterly and we don't get any response to that, but we have also sent letters and made other efforts to make contact without success.
What triggers our action, I guess I would say. I mean, 2007, that's a long time. Is it the amount?
Yeah, we've started on a regular basis. Kevin has a printout of what's delinquent, looks over the list, and typically we're looking at, something over $5,000. Unless it's an account where, they get billed more than that every quarter. Yeah, we're trying to be a little more systematic about it.
Okay. Motion for this item.
So moved.
Okay. Motion was made by Dave, second by Ethan. Any other comments on this item? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ethan? Aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, touch 8A, introduction. Mr. Collins Schultz.
Yes, very, very happy to introduce Colin this evening. He joined us today. It was his first day and he's still here. So that's,
Your first day.
so it's a
I didn't
good-
realize.
yeah.
We kept you till along 8:30.
So,
He's gonna get used to it.
Oh, yep, you gotta get on there, Colin.
Sorry about
Can
that.
hear.
Yeah, I'm excited to be a member of the team here. Looking forward to working with you gentlemen and becoming part of the staff here. So
Great, welcome.
thank you.
Yeah, I know the team was very happy to have you join
Great.
and accept, so that's great.
Great.
Reach out anytime. Let
Thank
us
you.
know what we can do to help.
Thank you.
When did you work for Bucks County?
That was quite a while ago back when I first graduated from college. I did an internship with their planning commission there. So it's good experience right out of college. So
Living here in Lancaster County and traveling?
living
there?
over in Montgomery County at the time. So
Okay, okay. A little different community than Lancaster County, but
yeah.
we're growing as well too.
Yeah.
So
There are parks there, like they got, you probably been to the Castle Park,
Yes. Mhm. Yeah.
took my kids there, I was like, oh my.
Yeah.
goodness, that is a park,
Yeah.
about 5 stories high.
is it
Yeah,
the park?
no, just the castle.
Oh, just,
Yeah.
there's a castle actually.
Mhm.
It's a huge, it's as big as a building.
Yeah. It's pretty
All
intense.
2
Yeah.
levels.
And then project management experience in private industry. So who'd you work for?
Right. I worked for Garvey Resources as well as Synergy Environmental. We did mainly soil and groundwater remediation, minefield reclamation, petroleum spill, stuff like that. So
Good experience to transition into this?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Any more interview questions, John?
Yeah, I have at least 2 more.
Okay, keep
So
going.
you hold a certification as a building code official and a certified stormwater inspector.
yes,
And those from what, Pennsylvania?
from PA, that state.
Awesome. That's great.
He's hired, right?
I can still ask him a question. You already talked about your master's degree. You got a
Yes.
master's degree from
Westchester.
Westchester. Well, that's
It's
okay.
down
That's
to
okay.
grad,
We'll
Westchester.
accept that. That's okay. No, that's great. Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Looking forward to working with you and passing you in the morning when you're coming to work. And I'll
Great.
come.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Colin.
Take care.
Yeah.
Okay, 8B.
Yes, as the board had adopted policy about when we get requests about speeding concerns, we received a request about Mount Sydney Road concerning vehicle speeds, traffic volumes, and a variety of other things. We got information from the police department on crashes on Mount Sydney Road. We put our speed sign out on Mount Sydney Road, collected information that way. And I prepared a memo sort of summarizing what we found. Ultimately, what we found was that we do need to put a couple of more speed limit signs out on the northbound side that will help make the speed limit more enforceable and adjust some of the ones that are on the southbound side. They weren't quite in the right position. So that'll be done probably later this week. But the speed on the road, again, according to the sign that we put out there, isn't, on average excessive more than you would expect on a 35-mile-an-hour road. So, I'm not recommending that you go back to PennDOT. It's 35 because at some point in time, the township would have asked PennDOT to make it something more than 40. So whenever they would have done that study, they would have authorized it to be 35, and we have to maintain those signs out there because of that. So the passing of vehicles was a concern that was expressed in the request, and As you know, it is legal to pass slow-moving vehicles, provided you do it safely. So, there can be differences of opinion as to, when it's done safely and when it's not, but our officers certainly are looking for any situations where that would be done in an unsafe manner, and they would certainly prosecute those when they see them. They're not out there all the time, obviously, on Mount Sydney Road. We do get speed complaints from other locations in the township, as you know. So, we put it through the process, and we'll respond to the people who submitted the request with that information, unless there's something else that the board would like staff to do.
Based on the data, if this was passed on to the state, wouldn't they raise the speed limit to 40 likely?
I'm concerned that that would happen, yes.
Yeah.
In other words, triggering action that
Right.
would put them back to their standard or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just want to know which two motorcycles were caught going 71, 84.
Yeah, the
84 on Mount Sydney.
Yeah.
Ethan, don't say anything. I'm just thinking about it. I think I got air.
Well, on the, between the bridge and the top of the hill, it's a racetrack. I mean, I've walked that street multiple times, knocking on doors. People are slowing down for those signs. But they're going fast because it's straight. Oh, and you can see the whole way, and it's wide. So the only way to make them go, put a curve in there, and they'll slow down.
Yeah.
But a sign won't make them do anything.
Yeah. Is there, why does the state own that road? I mean, why does the state own more roads than anybody else? But why do they own it? Mount Sydney is literally a cow path.
Yeah, I don't know all the history. I can tell you that Hartman Station Road, as you go across Horseshoe, Hartman Station used to be a state highway. And that was the township before my time took that road as a turnback road. So we get turnback money every year for that particular stretch. So, it did at one point in time go from Old Philadelphia Pike to New Holland Pike as a state highway. That changed when Hartman Station was turned back. I'm confident that the township didn't want Mount Sydney Road because of the Amtrak Railroad Bridge that's part of Mount Sydney Road. And, there's another issue coming up where PennDOT's asking the same question about Mount Sydney Road is, could that be
Why do we own
a
it? That's what
township
they're
road?
telling me.
They'd like to find a
Take
way.
it if they take the bridge.
Well,
I would, let's do a quid pro quo here, okay? So
well, that's their idea anyway, in looking at how the Walnut Street extension has evolved, and that additional mile or so of road is going to be a state highway. So they're thinking that, lessening state highway mileage in some other location would be their preference. So
or possible or permissible for PennDOT. Back to something Ethan's made a point of. Paint lines, get lines painted on there. Do white lines that come in from the side a bit, and then do a double yellow down the center or something. And suddenly the visual from the driver is, ooh, something has changed here. This is tight.
Or even shift it so it just shifts, a foot out to one way. Like you can put a
Just
curve in a
do it
straight
on
road
one side and
with paint.
I drive
But
that
we
road
can't,
at least twice a day, every day. I'm confident there's a double yellow down the middle. I can't swear to the white line on the shoulder, but if it remains a state highway, we can certainly talk to them about narrowing the lanes. I don't think they'll do anything to give it a chicane movement, but they might be willing to reduce the lane width down to 10 and a half feet to try to get some calming out of that.
I think I raised this one time here and talked about the school there. I have a growing concern that students are going to be crossing that ever more as the middle school, elementary school changes get made at jog out, or a little L shape that's coming out. Fairly close. watching to see this sign is still construction track. Watching to see how are they using that space. I know it presents a significant challenge to cross walk. But I guess we've got a wonderful little south sidewalk there, those houses we just improved the past couple of years, that's all being developed now. I mean, we're literally creating a more dense village there. And yet the main street through that village, we've got so little control over pedestrian, buggy, excessive speeding vehicles. It's a little frustrating. I know what you're telling us in Facebook. Watching that happen and realizing, wow, I can't go back to the neighborhood.
We could, PennDOT, has a regular practice of painting the lines annually, I think, out there. We could certainly, again, assuming it remains a state highway, we could certainly approach them about trying to narrow the width of the travel lanes, by, if they don't put a white line on it now, putting a white line on and making it a more narrow lane width there. There is a fair amount of pedestrian traffic on Mount Sydney Road as well. And
I don't use it as much as you do, but venture to say at least once a week, I go two directions on that. And between the Plains Tech community who lives in fairly large numbers actually along there, and just the other folks. I passed a woman jogging on there the other day and had to literally almost stop because I could not get around her. Another car was coming, and I thought, boy, this is really an example of a alternative vehicle mess out here. So. Thanks.
Sure. Again, if there's anything else you want us to do differently in response to this request, let me know. You want me to just keep going?
please keep
Okay.
going.
So, as you know, our efforts on the implementation of the Lincoln Highway Streetscape Plan continue. We did get, if you have that image available, we did get, I think I've reported before that the intersection of 896 and 30 is being looked at. They're just starting in the design process. We did get a response back from the design, well, actually from the PennDOT project manager that wasn't great. So the image that Tara has up is from the streetscape plan showing that intersection, and on the northwest and the southeast corners, you can see the concept was to add channelizing islands to channelize the right turns coming off of 896, the northbound to go east and the southbound to go west. And they apparently looked at those movements and felt that there wasn't adequate space to put an appropriate channelizing island at that locations to accommodate truck movements in particular. So we're going to continue to look at that. I do have Chris Bauer at McMahon sort of reviewing that situation there to see if there's anything that we could propose as an alternative solution.
Those have been raised, right? So truck
Right.
could potentially sort of drive on it.
Right.
If it didn't have the sort of pole,
Yeah, if there was enough room, you'd typically see, a truck apron in addition to those sort of pork chops, so that, car traffic wouldn't go up on the apron, but truck traffic would. But then when you actually reach the island, that would be even more protected space as sort of a refuge for pedestrians. And, to shorten up all the pedestrian movements there, you'd have the opportunity to get out on that island and not have quite as far to go all the way across. So we're going to look at that and see if there's something alternative that we can propose. I think priorities at this point are the crosswalks to be like what we did at Oakview, with the color and the style. The signals themselves would be like we've done at the intersection at Dutch Wonderland and Tanger. And getting rid of what's out there is a span wire situation right now where the signal heads themselves just hang on wires. So, and then, making sure that the pedestrian movements at the corners are all working appropriately. But hopefully we can get a little more out of it, but we're going to have to work through that process with them. The Western Gateway project on the other end, we did get, as we requested, for them to replace some of the sidewalk that's already out there as part of that project. So that was good news. We are expecting, well, I didn't say that the 3896 project is projected to go to construction in 2023, the Western Gateway in 2025. We've not yet received the project agreement from the county for the trail connection from Strasburg Pike over the road, so we're still waiting on that, and won't be able to begin design until we have that. Haven't seen anything yet from the owner of Shops at Rockvale for their redevelopment plan, and so I'm getting more and more concerned that we're going to have to find an alternative project to use the RCAP money. Otherwise risk losing it. So we'll work through that and make sure we don't lose it. Yeah, we'll be able to propose something. My understanding is that it's fairly flexible in terms of what RCAP limits you to. Right. So we'll find an appropriate way to use those funds. Our branding gateway feature wayfinding project has been progressing. We're going to have the top branding concepts in front of the stakeholders next week, actually on the 30th, we set that up for. And there's going to be a survey as well put together so we can get all the stakeholders and the steering committee's opinions on the survey, and then bring all of that to the ICDA meeting on the 19th of July. Ideally, it would be helpful if the ICDA could choose the brand at that meeting so that the rest of the project with the gateway and the wayfinding could proceed after that as scheduled. So that's what's happening there. Walnut Street Extension and Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway design and permitting process is proceeding. We're still fully engaged in those efforts. The most recent things that we were working on, are try to make sure that both those projects are constructed together and there's funding for the pathway as well as the road. We're also engaged with PennDOT at this point on agreements that would be necessary to clearly define the use of their right-of-way for the pathway as well as maintenance responsibilities that go along with it. So part of that discussion, as I mentioned, that they've raised is their desire to, I've couched it in terms of turn back, which would mean that, they make certain improvements and give us certain dollars every year to accept it as a local road. They've been couching it in terms of abandonment, where it becomes ours. The ones that they proposed, one of them was Mount Sydney Road, one of them was Horseshoe Road. There was another one, Greenfield Road. There's a small piece of Greenfield, which just is between the ramps. That's still state highway. So we don't want that bridge. Yeah, we don't want that bridge. We don't want the bridge on Horseshoe Road that goes over Amtrak. We don't want the bridge on Mount Sydney that goes over Amtrak. So yeah, my reaction would be, well, if you're going to keep the bridge, that's something that the board could consider. I also suggested that maybe we look at North Oakview as an option. There's no bridge involved there, but of course their trucks are on North Oakview constantly, so they tend to look at this as a question of snowplow routes more than anything else, in my opinion. So they're going to have to go on North Oakview Road to get anywhere on the rest of their county system anyway. So they're not going to, I don't think they're going to react well to.
Just jump on 30. I mean, clearly they have to go for at least to go to Lincoln Highway.
Yeah.
Do they jump on 30 or do they go up to 340 and then jump on 30?
Well, I mean, they go up Oakview to get the Old Philly Pike mainly, and then, go east and west from there on Old Philly. So
They have to drop the plow to get somewhere if there's substantial snow.
we probably beat them there, but.
True. Okay. Okay.
And Charlie's not even here. I can't.
So when they come out at 4 AM, we've already got it cleared.
Oh, yeah, it's done.
Okay, very good. You tell Charlie. Yeah.
So we're working through that process with them and with High's assistance as well to get those agreements in place. We are continuing to expect that both of those will go to construction next year. So at least that's the plan. That's all I had to report on those, unless you had further questions about any of that.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
Okay. Okay. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. Motion made by John, second by Ethan. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public on the adjournment? Okay. Glenn?
Aye.
Dave? Aye. John?
Aye.
Ethan?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.